So we've all faced situations where a Raspberry Pi is unexpectedly shut down, whether it's we tripped over a cable, the power went out, a component overheated, whatever it is. And what's really dangerous about these situations is that it can lead to an SD card corruption. And obviously nobody wants that. You lose valuable files, information, etc. So in order to combat this problem, we came up with the PiZ-SuperCap. And so what happens is you connect this PiZ-SuperCap directly to the Raspberry Pi Zero through these 40 GPIO pins right here. And then you connect this USB cable, which directly charges the Raspberry Pi to these 5-volt GPIO pins right here. And while it's directly charging the Raspberry Pi, as we can see here, it's turned on. As it's directly charging the Raspberry Pi, it's also charging this super capacitor right here. And so what happens is that for whatever reason, the USB cable loses connection to the Raspberry Pi and it stops charging it, the super capacitor takes over and starts charging the Raspberry Pi instead. And as you can see, it's charging the Raspberry Pi right now. This can last for up to 45 seconds of battery time, enough time for you to either plug your cable back in or write a program. So let's plug this back in. And so then another key piece of information is that the power that it's being sent to GPIO pin number 4 right here, power is being sent to GPIO pin number 4 here directly through this USB cable. And the Raspberry Pi reads that as high or 1. And so when we unplug this USB cable right here, it reads the power coming from GPIO pin as 0 or low. And through this information, we can write a program which will automatically shut down the Raspberry Pi when it detects the USB cable has been pulled to avoid any SD card corruption. This is a program I've created to automatically shut down the Raspberry Pi 4 when it detects the state of GPIO pin number 4 as low. So you can go over this more in depth in the description, but I'm just going to skim over it real quick. So we import all of our necessary functions. We set up the GPIO mode to BCM pin numbering, so use the GPIO number, not the pin number. We set up GPIO pin number 4 as an input pin, and then we run a quick while loop. If GPIO pin.input 4 is equal to 0, so if it's low, it will first sleep for 6 seconds. So that will give you time to plug back in the cable if for whatever reason you accidentally tripped over or accidentally fell or whatever. And you can increase this time to as long as you want, up to 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then if after those 6 seconds GPIO.input 4 is equal to 1, it passes and it goes back through here. But if it's not equal to 1 after 6 seconds, it will execute the shutdown command right here and shut down the Raspberry Pi 4. And if GPIO.input is equal to 1, then it passes. So yeah, that's the basic program, and let's run. So one more thing before we run our program, we want to make sure that it starts up every time we reboot the Raspberry Pi, so we don't have to run it every time. So we're going to want to type in this command right here, sudo nano /etc/rc.local. And now you're going to want to go down all the way to the last line, exit 0, and right before this line, you're going to want to go up, and you're going to want to type in Python, and then space, and then the name of your the location of your file. So in my example, it's -home-pi, and I named it supercap_shutdown.py. And so there we go. Now we can run this program. We unplug our the USB cable from the super capacitor, and then we don't plug it back in. So after 9 seconds, it will shut down. So let's just go ahead. Let's unplug this. And as we can see, it is fully unplugged. Now let's go back here, and now we have to just wait 9 seconds, and it will automatically shut down on its own, the proper way. And there we go. Now as you can see right here, it's executed the shutdown command, as it should, and there we go. The second case scenario, we unplug it and then plug it back in within 9 seconds, so it doesn't shut down. So let me just unplug it right here. And as we can see, it is unplugged. And now let me just plug this back in. And there we go. And then we'll just wait a few seconds. And as we can see, it is not shutting down. So that means that that works. And yeah, thank you for supporting this project. I hope this showed you something. And thank you for supporting PiZ-SuperCap.